Hey guys, Plev here. And today I'm going to teach you the basics of how to fly the Mosquito FB Mark 6 Series 2. This is the first of several videos I'll be making on this aircraft. For your convenience, this video is split up into chapters which can be found in the video description below. As with previous videos for this aircraft, we'll talk about some unusual key bindings you may need to control her. Ensure that your wheel brakes key is bound. This is separate from your left and right toe brakes. As with all British aircraft in the game, you need to use the BF 109/110 and British aircraft water radiators open and close keybinds found under plane engine controls for this aircraft. You can also split your throttles if you so choose. Let's take a look at the cockpit. On our pilot's left, we have our elevator trim, and we have our RPM, which for startup will be set to 100%, and our throttles, which for startup we will set to 15%. Ahead of our throttle quadrant, we have our backup compass. Above our backup compass, we have our rad temp gauges, we have our oil temperature gauges, and we have our engine boost gauges between our two fuel pressure warning lights. Above our boost gauges, we have our RPM tachometer and a magnetic compass. On the left of our center console, we have our altimeter located below our airspeed indicator. To the right of those two gauges, we have our artificial horizon and a gyroscopic compass. The gyroscopic compass is caged automatically while maneuvering and will uncage when in level flight. To the right of that, we have our vertical speed indicator and our side slip indicator. Above our airspeed indicator is our rocket pairs or salvo toggle. You can set either pairs, in which you will fire 2 rockets at a time, or salvo, in which you will fire all rockets at the same time with your rockets mode keybind. Below your gyroscopic compass is your undercarriage indicator and your flap indicator in degrees. Below your side slip indicator is your bomb bay door handle, your landing gear handle, and your flap handle. Below those handles is your aileron trim, which I like to neutralize prior to takeoff. And to the right of that is your bomb control panel below a red bomb bay door light. To the right of our gun sight is our water radiator switches, which should be, prior to takeoff, opened, however prior to startup, closed, and our yaw trim. Finally, to the right of our pilot and navigator, we have our fuel quantity gauges. Prior to starting the engines, we'll apply the brakes. We'll check that our RPM is at 100% and our engines are at 15% roughly. And we'll press E to initiate the startup. We'll wait for both engines to start. With the engines running, we'll press Right-Alt-C to close the crew hatch. When taxiing, if you have a split throttle, you can use differential engine power to turn, or you can tap the brakes and give rudder in the direction you wish to turn to release the brakes on the opposite side automatically and allow you to make that corner. At the hold short for the runway, we'll configure the aircraft for takeoff by setting 10 to 15 degrees flaps. We'll open our water radiators, and we'll ensure that we're at 100% RPM. We'll apply our brakes and run up the engines. We'll give her full throttle. We'll release the brakes. We'll use our split throttle and tap the brakes to stay on center line. And we're going to wait for that nose to drop.
Takeoff, leader. Requesting takeoff clearance. Over. Takeoff, cleared for takeoff. Takeoff, leader. Taking off. Out.
Around 120 miles per hour, I'm going to go ahead and rotate. And as we get airborne, I'm going to raise the gear
Takeoff.
and raise the flaps. I'm going to begin a climb and get up to altitude before I talk to you more about the engine management and different engine modes available to us. Here we are up at altitude. Let's discuss engine management. First, let's discuss our radiators. During takeoff, climb, or combat, your radiators should be open. However, during cruise flight, they should be closed. At 2650 RPM and 7 boost, we are in cruise mode and can sustain this indefinitely. Increasing to 2850 RPM and 9 boost, we are in climb mode and can sustain this for 1 hour. At 3000 RPM and 18 boost, we are in combat power and can sustain this for 5 minutes. However, the aircraft can reach 25 boost with an engine upgrade, which we'll talk about later. Let's discuss some flight characteristics of the aircraft. Now let's discuss aircraft upgrades and armament. The aircraft should not exceed 430 miles per hour in a dive. The aircraft performs its max sustained turn at 167 miles per hour. It's important that you throttle back prior to a dive attack to avoid overspeeding the aircraft. The aircraft can either carry up to 4 250-pound bombs or up to 4 500-pound bombs. Keep in mind that certain bomb configurations are only internal inside the bomb bay and some are not. The aircraft can carry 8 rockets on either Mark 1 or Mark 3 or Mark 3 tiered rails. There isn't much of a difference. Alongside rockets, the aircraft can equip the Mark IIL adjustable gun sight, where you can use right shift semicolon and right shift period to adjust the depression of the gun sight. The aircraft can optionally take a 57mm Mullins gun alongside 4 303 Brownings or 2 303 Brownings. You should always take the open exhausts upgrade. It makes damage a little more likely if you get hit, however, the speed is really helpful. The aircraft can equip a 150 grade fuel engine upgrade to allow the aircraft to reach 25 pounds of boost. This will disable automatic supercharged gear shifting, and you'll have to press left shift S to change it at above 3,500 feet manually. In a separate video, I'll talk you through different attack profiles with rockets and bombs in this aircraft. Let's move on to landing. When pulling the throttle all the way back, a siren will alarm if your landing gear are not down. At below 180 miles per hour, we'll lower our landing gear. At below 150 miles per hour, we will lower our flaps. We'll aim for a glide slope speed of between 124 to 150 miles per hour, depending on aircraft weight. I've got a little bit of shaking effect for my force feedback setup, but nothing to worry about. I'll probably just mess with that later on. We're going to be aiming for a final speed of 110 to 95 miles per hour on touchdown. We're just a little fast here. That shaking effect is dissipating as we slow down. Depending on the exterior temperature, you can either have your radiators closed or open for this phase of the flight. Give it a little power.
Leader, artillery, spotted. 7 o'clock. Range 3 miles. Engage. Out.
Acorn, this is Broadthought. Objective completed. Holding sector.
Try and touch down all 3 gear at the same time. Tap the brakes and pull back on the stick as you come to a halt. We'll quickly clear the runway and we'll get her shut down at parking. Alright guys, that'll do it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if I've helped you out. And stay tuned for an upcoming video on attack profiles in the Mosquito.